Welcome to this week's OK at Work with myself, Sarah Sawyer, and my colleague Russell Berger from the Offit Kurman Labor and Employment Group. So this week we are talking about the many hats that business owners wear, the pitfalls of wearing too many hats and taking charge of too many different tasks within. So that's something I think Russell and I have seen a lot of when clients come to us is, smaller business owners, medium-sized business owners who have always been really involved in growing their business, not be able to, offload certain tasks and really just trying to handle everything and keep all the plates spinning. And then some start to fall and crash, and some things start to go by the wayside. So, and they start running afoul of certain legal issues and end up getting themselves in a little bit of a mess. What are some of the instances of that you have seen, Russell?
Yeah, that's certainly an issue where, the business owner is just trying to do too much. And, instead of following a good process and a structured plan, it's being done in an ad hoc manner. And that can lead to issues. In particular, we see it all the time in the employment space where, one thing I would certainly recommend is, once you get to 10 or 12 employees, having a really clear defined process for dealing with complaints of harassment and discrimination. Because what we see a lot of is, businesses that don't follow a clear path, don't investigate, leave themselves vulnerable to a claim of retaliation, leave themselves, vulnerable to not having followed a good process in addressing the issue, and things just seem to carry on when that happens. And it's really important from a business owner standpoint to get out in front of those things. And I happen to think, that a automated process, or at least not automated, but a repeated process is a good way to deal with that.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen it outside of the employment context as well. I mean, business changes and the needs change, and instead of thinking strategically about, from a business structure standpoint or, protection standpoint, just kind of leaving things in place as they were originally when the company was one person or when, it was just starting out, and not really thinking about making sure that all your ducks are in a row and making sure you have the right protections in place. Because often when people get started, they're not thinking strategically in that way because they don't necessarily need to right in the beginning. But then, things start to blossom and grow, and really just going back and taking a look, just even doing a check-in with your policies, your procedures, as you mentioned, then also like, all right, is the way that I'm structured protective enough? Do I have protections in place to make sure I'm protecting my IP and my various, pieces of my business that need to be protected? So I think that's something that I've run into actually a couple of times recently.
Yeah, well, it really ties in, I think, with strategic planning too. I mean, that's obviously something that businesses should be doing on a regular basis anyway. But I mean, all this ties together. What process do I need to have? What do I need to update? It's not just my employment process. It's also my corporate documents. It's also my intellectual property portfolio. Am I doing all the right things here? How am I growing? And really, a lot of that can be dictated by, where's your company now relative to where was it when you first put these documents in place? Because the right answer for a company of 10 employees is not the right answer for a company of 50 employees or 100 employees. And the nature of the business is going to change, and that's going to dictate other changes in terms of the legal advice that you should be getting. So it's really important to just kind of if you're strategically trying to grow your business, to revisit and reassess those decisions you made a couple of years ago as you get to different stages of your business's growth.
Yeah, and talking about strategy, I mean, really having the professionals in place. I mean, law is one area, but obviously accountants and various other, tax professionals and things. I know we're seeing a lot of that right now with certain tax changes potentially coming. So we've been keeping a lot of, business has been keeping a lot of professionals busy right now. But, having that right team in place to check in, that's where I've seen really businesses be most successful in their growth, is when they're checking in regularly with those professionals and have that strong relationship to say, okay, like, what am I not thinking about? What do I need to make sure I'm preparing for? And as part of their strategic planning process, bringing those professionals in to avoid any potential roadblocks or issues that they don't really have the capacity to be thinking about. So that's kind of that we're in those too many hats situation there.
Right.
Don't try to be your own lawyer.
Right. And you can address that by kind of building your team of external advisors.
Yeah. So it's good to have a good external and internal team. I'd be thinking on both of those. So, well, thanks, Russell.
Thanks, Sarah.